Hi, welcome back to Full Cup Astrology. I'm Jen Keen, and this is a very healing full moon that we have in Gemini. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to the energy in this moon. I'm looking forward to what it means for the next 6 months because of some of the energy that's going on around this time. Right now, we have the moon in Gemini, the sun is in Sagittarius. We also have Mercury and Jupiter, who are the rulers of those signs, but they have swapped houses and they're also in an opposition at the time of this full moon. They're also both in retrograde. So this is bringing stuff back from the past that is so strongly amplified on that axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. The more that I study astrology, the more I do readings, the more I think about life and how it all comes together and why it matters, it all comes down to balance. And that might be because of my strong Libra stellium. I am passionate about bringing things into alignment, about finding that balancing point, and probably because I am also an extremist in my energy. I have a very vast emotional spectrum, lots of highs and lows, and finding out how to find joy in all of that and how to ride those waves and how to find balance and calmness. Something that I like to spend a lot of time thinking about, and something that I think is really important for a lot of people who like to listen to astrology videos. Because the essence of astrology is finding that balance in opposing energies. I think with a full moon in Gemini, the secret to the energy at this time is going to be about accepting the dualities. That everything has a duality that needs to coexist, and we cannot live without some of them. Well, at least let me know what you think in the comments below, because some of the things that came to mind are healing. We cannot experience healing in the depth of what healing really means if we have not felt pain. We cannot experience love if we haven't felt alone, or the lack of love, or rejected, or abandoned. Love might be a different one because we do come into this earth, I think, as a true essence of love. We cannot overcome fear without having gone through fear and knowing what that means, and then understanding what that emotion feels like and how to deal with it in our internal systems. So Gemini is the duality, and Sagittarius is that healing piece. Pluto has just come out of an opposition with Mars, and it is also just coming out of a conjunction with Venus. These three players all got together for a major conjunction in a series of a few days in the middle of February. And now Venus is resetting with another conjunction with Pluto, and Mars is in its full moon position of opposition. So this is a big reset in love and relationships, how we experience personal power in relationships. And what does that mean to even feel empowered or a sense of personal power? And that too, when it comes to relationships and love, there's a duality because we both have to feel empowered and like we are in control of who we are, that we have autonomy in relationships, yet we are doing this dance with another person and trying to balance energy. Now, this doesn't have to show up romantically. This can be any way that you experience love and pleasure and the Venusian experiences in life. It could show up in what beauty means to you. And this is a moment where you are resetting your values and resetting a cycle of what beauty means. This reset with Pluto and Venus could have to do with not giving your power away into superficial beauty and things that don't that other people tell us are beautiful and meaningful, but is that really what matters to us? These cycles with Venus and Mars and Pluto are just passing, but because this full moon is saturated with a retrograde Mercury and a retrograde Jupiter, I do feel like we are still in very strong dialogue of what's going on with Pluto. What's being illuminated with a Gemini full moon is that somewhere in accepting the dualities of things, we find more personal power, we find healing, we find acceptance. This is my last few days here of a 2-month trip. And over the course of that 2 months, of course, not everything was this amazing, beautiful experience. Some days were challenging. Some days emotions came up that had to be dealt with. When you're trying to create a really special experience, there's somehow more weight of those not so good days. It's like they shouldn't exist. They shouldn't be there. And it really got me thinking a lot about that friction in the day-to-day life when I'm back in my normal experience in Canada. How many days do I spend thinking that things should be different? How many days do I spend thinking that I shouldn't be suffering, that I shouldn't be in pain, that I shouldn't have to deal with illness, that I shouldn't have to deal with some of the frustrating things that happen in life? And one of the biggest feedbacks that I got on my last Pluto video was a lot of fear about Pluto transits. And I think that that is why we seek validation and reassurance in astrology. Is to keep hope and to keep a feeling that we don't have to suffer so much. In this experience of a full moon in Gemini, alongside a Jupiter retrograde and this whole conversation going on, this is about accepting the duality that yes, there are some challenging days, there are some amazing days, and accepting both is where that personal power and freedom and joy really comes from. Knowing that some days are just not great and we enjoy the bits and pieces of them that we can anyway. And wait for the sun to come up tomorrow. A huge piece of this full moon is that hours after this full moon is exact, Mercury goes direct. We are officially out of the Mercury retrograde for the rest of the year into January. We'll talk about the next one when it's relevant. So if you have been experiencing mix-ups and extra stress and frustration lately, I think that's also part of this experience of the full moon trying to show us that the dualities of the frustration and the pain in life can hold important pieces of the puzzle and can have some important meaning in the end. With all full moons, there's a pressure release. This is the moon building up to its full spectrum of light, and then it starts to wane and descend. It is a pressure release when we get to that state, and then we feel a bit of this deflation, and I think that we are going to feel that going into New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, December 30th, we have our next new moon, and that is a whole other story. That is when Mars and Pluto are in opposition, in exact opposition again. So that's what I mean by this being an unfolding story. This is not a video where I'm talking about just this full moon, though I think that this full moon is a very relevant piece in the bigger story that is going on with Pluto, Mars, and Venus. At the time of this full moon, Mars is also sending beautiful trine energy to Mercury and the North Node. Mars is in a tougher position for Pluto, and it has just gone retrograde on December 6th. Overall, with Mars going retrograde, you're just going to feel a bit less drive and motivation and gusto and wanting to battle it out. Sometimes old conflicts will come back around for resolution. Mars retrograde, they say never start a conflict during Mars retrograde. If the person who starts it is likely to be the one to lose. Don't initiate anything that you don't have to. If you need to assert yourself and this is something that you are working on, and this is past material that you are making progress with, then continue on that path. But if you're thinking about starting a brawl and it's fresh, just see what else this situation could be showing you other than adding to conflict at this time. This is a great window with Mars retrograde to do some inner reflection. See how you are handling the intensity of emotions in your life and self-expression overall. With Mars retrograde, this is also a great time to reflect on what really motivates us, what gives us that drive and passion. Because Mars is retrograde in Leo right now, passion has to be authentic. Passion has to really light us up and be fun and meaningful. And when it goes back into Cancer, then it's going to be more about how it feeds us emotionally. But right now, the focus is going to be on what is actually authentic. And I think that this is another theme that ties into the idea of focusing on dualities around this full moon in Gemini. To be authentic, we have so many versions of ourselves that want to show up. And we can't always bring all of them to every situation. So what really is authentic? If we are leaving a part of what's really true to us behind and not merging all of these different parts of ourselves and bringing that to every situation, which the reason we are not always fully integrated and merging all parts of ourselves is because it's not always appropriate to bring all of those versions to every situation, especially when it comes to business things. Or what's important is to think about these things for each of us, is that it's a personal question, it is a personal reflection, and it is a great thing to consider under energy like this. And that is what I think the square from Neptune to this moon is going to be all about. It is about illusion and creativity. Neptune is the intangible. So it is the energy that we give off despite what we are saying and what we are trying to convey and how we actually come across. And Saturn is squaring Jupiter. This Saturn square to Jupiter is really asking if the healing that we're doing right now can stand the test of time. And if it cannot, then Saturn is here to show us where the cracks in the foundation are, probably to slow us down a little bit more with Jupiter still being retrograde after this moon and Mars going retrograde. So if you feel frustrated because things are feeling like molasses, keep that in mind, that this is an intentional slowdown so that we can examine the details and take time to reflect and think about things and not just brush past them, because it's the brushing past and doing things too quickly that could cause an actual delay in the healing. So taking the time to slow down now is going to bring more clarity, and then when the planets are moving forward, you are going to be ready for full speed ahead and feeling really strong and able to handle whatever it is you have going on. So that was a lot. I hope that lands well with you. If you would like to get a private reading with me and figure out how this fits into your birth chart, check out my website link in the description below. I also have 2025 planners ready. These are mini new moon and full moon readings for each sign every 2 weeks for all of 2025, as well as a breakdown of the Mercury retrograde and what to expect with each sign that Mercury is in, how to take advantage of it, to let you know ahead of time when the Mercury retrogrades are coming up so that you can work within the windows that are the most efficient. And I make some recommendations about void course of the moon in these planners too. So only $29.99 still. Check out the website link for that as well. And now let's get into your sign. Hi, Scorpio. This is an 8th house full moon for you, and this is about resources. This is about intimacy, the connection that you have with significant other people in your life, specifically around support, and this can be a financial house. This can be a house where payouts or resources, taxes, money from other people that supports you is reaching a new level. It could be coming to an end. It could be just needing some refining and attention. Because there are so many planets retrograde, I think that this is energy that's more about refining how Scorpios use their resources. And because this is a full moon and the sun and the moon are opposing each other, this is also activating your second house, which is what you value, your resources, and the energy that you manage within your body and within your system. There is a square to this moon from Neptune in your fifth house, and Jupiter close to this moon is getting a square from Saturn in your fifth house. There has been a lot of fifth house action for Scorpios, and this looks like there could be some rebalancing that needs to do with finances and energy management between you and another person, between you and an organization sometimes, that has to do with your creativity. Maybe the way that you have fun and derive pleasure out of life that could be draining resources in some way. If you have children, it could be your children that are draining your resources, and this is something that you and your partner need to recalibrate and figure out how you're going to allocate funds. The fifth house is an area which is your creativity, your children, your creative expression, your God-given talents, how you have fun, play, creativity. There is something in this part of your life that is draining energy, and it's time to figure out how to balance it all. But first, you're going to probably be aware of it in a more tense and uncomfortable way, and then you will find the solution. You will realize that there is an energetic imbalance, because until something gets uncomfortable, we don't even notice that energy is out of whack. We just keep going along the way we always do. But it's these moments that show us where there's something extra we can do to make things a little more sustainable long term. That's what Saturn wants, is that it wants whatever you're working on to be able to be supported energetically and financially for the long haul. So this is a moment where you can have an opportunity to see what can be implemented to make your system stronger. Mercury has been retrograding in your second house, which means you could be facing some less energy and clarity in what you value. Maybe you are going over things that you value. Maybe you are getting rid of certain things that you once thought were valuable, but you are simplifying and letting go of some belongings. Mars is about to retrograde, well, it is now, in your 10th house, and the drive and motivation that you have to be seen by the public, to gain some sort of status, those things can come into question. You might wonder what you're chasing when it comes to career recognition and your reputation. Or maybe there's just something that needs to be recalibrated with your reputation in order to get where you want to go and what you envision for your career, life, and goals. And it's going to have to do with what you value. So there's a lot of connection here, and I think for a lot of Scorpios out there, it's going to come down to understanding how you manage your resources and what really, really matters to you. Then you're going to have the right energy to get into the right public situations when it comes to work. You're going to not be wasting energy just shooting at every opportunity, but you're going to figure out what is really going to click with what you're trying to create and move forward. And then your energy is going to be spent wisely. So that's part of this grand trine with Mars and Mercury and the North Node for you in your 6th house. So you're really lighting up efficiency, how you deal with your day-to-day tasks and manage your health, even health. And the 6th house with health matters, and how we run our day-to-day lives, and 2nd house matters really coincide with health and that energy management piece. So those are all of the areas lit up for you, Scorpio. Even though this moon is in your 8th house and it has to do with other people's resources, I think that the strong message here is still about what you value, how you manage your own energy, and there is always a dance that we need to do with other people. So that is coming up right now for some evaluation too. Let me know how things are going in the comments below. And if you would like a one-on-one reading with me for your personal chart, or a 2025 planner to have a head start on all of these new moon and full moon readings that I do, check out the links in the website below. It's only $30 Canadian for the 2025 planner, and that will give you, especially for you with all this work focus, as far as where to manage your energy, you can take a look at this calendar. It's not in calendar form, but every 2 weeks, what the energy focus is that aligns with the planets, and how to use Mercury retrogrades, which can be really helpful not to spin your wheels in times where you can take it easy. Thank you so much for being here, Scorpio, and I hope you have a wonderful full moon. I'll see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a full moon in your partnership house. So this is a brand new level being reached when it comes to yourself and another. A full moon in your partnership house could mean that a significant partnership has come to its end. It can mean that it's coming to reach a new level. And sometimes it can be somebody showing up in your life that is very significant and has a karmic role to play sometime. This is also an area of your life where you are very blessed right now with Jupiter in your partnership house. Mercury retrograding in your sign could mean that you've been going back over things to do with your body, your health, your thoughts, your mindset, the words that you use. This has been more of a self-reflective time for you leading up to this full moon. And I think that it's probably in that time that you discovered some things that really matter to you, and therefore they're going to support your relationship. Or there's some recalibrating that is going to be done now because you have gone back over these details and become more aware of something about yourself. Saturn and Neptune are in your 4th house, and they are squaring Jupiter and this moon in your 7th. So there is something that is a bit more restrictive coming from home, from your inner world, maybe from your family that raised you, your family of origin. This could be just the way that your family raised you, and you are starting to unravel some of the things that were built into your system from your upbringing, and you'll bring some with you and you'll leave some behind. And that could be part of what you've been reflecting on with the Mercury retrograde piece too. But for now, this is a more restrictive, uncomfortable. Neptune can bring things to sight during a full moon that you didn't see before, that have to do with your inner world, that have to do with your family. Maybe you actually didn't consider certain qualities that are affecting your partnerships that have come from home and family. And now the understanding and awareness of those being there and living inside of you and creating an operations system that is not helpful, or that you would like to change now that you have this awareness. That is what is happening with Saturn and Neptune in your 4th house. There's some restructuring that needs to be done. And this looks like a lot of self energy, Sag. Even though this full moon is all about partnerships, but it's what you are doing with your own energy and the shifts that you are creating within yourself that are making a big difference in your relationships right now. And it's probably communication focused because this Pluto-Venus conjunction is happening in your 3rd house. Mars is opposing that from your 9th house. Ideas and the way you think about the world, foreign people, foreign places, these could all be playing a role in how you communicate right now. Whatever it is that is expanding your mindset and expanding your awareness, what really is going to matter is how it's changing your communication, how it's changing your day-to-day words. This could be short distance travel for some of you. This could also be your mindset. With Pluto and Venus conjoining in your third house, this is a reset for how you express yourself. And this could be social media too. So if you are somebody who is in media and writing of some kind, this is wonderful creative energy where you can tap into some very deep, shadowy conversations and aspects of human nature and psychology. And it can be something that you have the ability right now to put into creative, beautiful work of art. With Venus conjoined with Pluto, that's one of the beautiful manifestations, is that you have this duality, which is what this full moon is all about. But Pluto is what's hidden and what's in the shadows and in the underworld, the things about humanity that we don't always want to recognize. And Venus comes in and puts a beautiful touch on everything. Venus is pleasure and beautiful art, and it's what we do want to look at. It's what we do get joy out of in this world. So putting those two together in your third house can mean that what you are writing right now, what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, this is really powerful stuff that other people will want to listen to and take in. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you, Sag, to have big conversations with a significant person, maybe with your family members too. Now that Mercury is direct shortly after this full moon, so if you were watching this video before the 15th of December, then wait until Mercury builds some momentum even by December 18th. You will come across that much clearer, your thoughts will be clearer, you will be able to put a lot more into action than before Mercury retrograde, but we do have this Mars retrograde. That's really for you. I don't think it's going to be affecting your productivity as much unless you are a teacher, in which case you might have some setbacks with the things that go on and productivity within a school system. But for most people, it's just going to be about reworking what you're passionate about with your belief systems and your values. And I think that this looks like it's going into writing or creative expression of some kind that is helping other people, but mostly helping your partnerships and helping you merge dualities and concepts that seem opposing more than ever before, and really making sense of it. So let me know how this is going for you in the comments below, Sag. A lot of different possibilities for how this could play out. If you would like to process more with a personal reading with me, or you would like a 2025 planner, which is a preview of all of these new and full moon videos, plus how to manage the Mercury retrogrades month to month, what the advantages and disadvantages are. Both of those, they'll be linked in the description below. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a 6th house full moon for you. So this is all about your daily habits, work, health. This is a time where health can drastically change and reach a new level. And with Mercury retrograde and the sun in your 12th house, across from this moon and Jupiter in your 6th house, it looks like for you rest and retreat, escape from the rest of the world, maybe meditation, how you connect with energy. These are the things that you've been focusing on, and that is what is helping you reach this new level in your routines, in your health, productivity. Jupiter here gives me the impression that health stuff could actually be going quite well. Jupiter is a healing and expansive planet, and it is retrograde, so it is going back over anything that you missed that needs to be reworked and adjusted. Neptune and Saturn are squaring this moon and Jupiter from your third house. This is where a more challenging energy can show up. The third house has to do with your siblings, close relatives, neighbors, short distance travel, communication. And there's some tension here that is overall helping the whole situation, but it's still an area of reworking and focus. Many Capricorns could be going through a period where you're focusing on changing your communication, restructuring how you express yourself. You're focusing more on words, language, and thoughts than ever before. This is an energy where you definitely could be thinking more about the energy behind everything that you express in the physical world. And that has to do with our words too. Words have more impact with the tone that they're expressed with than the actual word itself. Especially in the English language, there are so many words that have various different meanings. But if you are picking up on the energy that somebody is using to express the language, then you know what they're really trying to say. And that's not the only thing that's helpful about changing the way that we speak. It is about being clear and actually being heard, because it doesn't really matter what you say if nobody's listening or just zoned out or glazed over because the expression itself is not being digested or received well. It is in this third house energy of expression that there's something that's reworking the way that you manage your daily routines and your health and your rest and your retreat and your work, and how much you escape and how much you focus on work and vice versa. Maybe that's coming from something you read. Maybe a neighbor or a sibling or something in the media has brought your attention to some new ways of doing things. And this is a full moon where you get to pick up on new information and implement it in your daily activities. This could be energy where you're picking up on psychic information differently and in a new way. And that is helping your work or your daily activities as well. Mars is retrograding in your 8th house. This is going to be a story about resources from other people, intimate connections, how your values and the values of a significant other person in your life, how they mesh and blend together. This is an area where you might feel a slowdown or less motivation in these topics for a little while. But the purpose of this slowdown is to figure out a new way of moving forward when it comes to 8th house topics. This also has to do with transformation. Maybe transformation is going to slow down a little bit if you feel like you have been changing a lot, which Capricorns out there, having just gone through Pluto since 2008, transformation and metamorphosis is everything you've been doing. So maybe this is a bit of a 6-month break where you get to take a breather, more like 3 months now, where you get to take a bit of a break in the transformation and just reflect on all the transformation, the deaths and the rebirths that have been going on inside of you have been going, and what the purpose of it all has been. And this opposition from Mars to Pluto and Venus is in your 2nd house of money and values. So you are about to now transform how you manage your energy, how you manage your worth, what you really value. With Venus here right now and Pluto, there could be some transformation in purchases and how you dress as well. The clothing that you wear and the way that you express yourself through your voice and through your attire. The tone of your voice can definitely change with energy like this. Now that Mercury is direct, not a bad time to buy something that has a lot of value to you, that brings a lot of beauty and pleasure to your life. With Venus in this part of your chart, that's one of the advantages of Venus transiting through the 2nd house. I think that it's a good time to change some of those physical expressions when, like, such as clothing, when you've gone through a big transformation, you're probably feeling like a new person, and a lot of the stuff that you have maybe just doesn't vibrate with where you're at now. So this could be a time of purging belongings and having new things that really match your current energy. All in all, Capricorn, this is a big moon when it comes to work, day-to-day life, health, routines, and how you balance work, productivity, rest, and retreat. Let me know how this is showing up in the comments below. And if you would like to see 2025 in summary for all the new moons and full moons, plus Mercury every month, and what to do, how to take advantage of Mercury cycles, and when to sit back, you can both check out my personal readings and those planners in the links below. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful full moon and almost your birthday season. I will see you next time. Aquarius, this is a 5th house full moon for you. So this is all about fun, pleasure, creativity, creative self-expression. These are all areas that fit well with Aquarius. It is an energy that is in trine, which is a beautiful aspect to your sign. You also have Venus in your sign, which is an amazing time to be seen in a lovely light. It's good energy for your body, for now that Mercury is direct, for buying new clothes, getting a haircut. Do wait until after December 15th though, and even December 18th when Mercury starts to gain momentum before you start doing a lot of drastic changes to your look or your appearance or your body. The 5th house where this full moon is can also have to do with dating and romance and the infatuation stage of getting to know new people, even if it's not specifically romantic. This is the excitement stage of meeting new people that really jive with you. Mars in your 7th house is opposing Pluto and Venus in your 1st house. This opposition and tension has to do with partnerships and you and your creative expression, or what you find beautiful about yourself, or what is time to completely transform and redo and let go of when it comes to aesthetics and what you do find beautiful. Do pay attention if something is coming from partnerships that is causing friction with how you feel about yourself. And it's going to mean different things for everybody, but there is something significant here that is asking for recalibration. This is also something that is going to tie into your 2nd house of values and money. This is where there's some more tension as well at the time of this full moon. And the values and money portion is creating tension in your 5th house, which is really probably asking, are you being clear with what you value and what really brings you joy and fun, especially with dating? If dating is something that's going on for you, does it really align with what you value? And if not, then it's not going to go the long haul, which is what Saturn is asking for here in your 2nd house. It could also mean that there's been a bit of obliviousness to the energy and resources that you're expending in favor of having fun, in favor of your hobbies, in favor of your creative passion projects, in favor of joy. There needs to be balance for longevity and sustainability. And it's great to have bursts of joy and play and not think about the resource consequences, whether that's energetic or financial. Often it's both. They usually are inseparable. This is a time when the planets in this part of your chart are asking you to look more seriously at how you want things to go and play out when it comes to that energy that you have, and they're making sure that energy is coming back towards you. And that has to do with partnerships too. So there is a lot of different physical ways that this can play out. It could have to do with partnerships. It could have to do with just what other people value versus what you value. And it could have to do with joy and play. It will have to do with joy and play. It could have to do with children. If those of you who have children, there could be something changing in your children's lives that is making you recalibrate your resources. And children take a lot of energy and money as well. And there's only so much you can give. So sometimes you need to prioritize what you can and let the rest fall to the side. The Mercury retrograde and the sun opposing this moon are in your 11th house, and that means that friends from the past and recalibrating what your networks, what networks really fit with you and what fits your values is going to be the big Pluto theme for you for the next 20 years. The people that we surround ourselves with, even if they are our clients and networks and communities, like who we do yoga with and which markets we shop at. These are things that ultimately should align with our values. And when we're, it just makes me think of grocery stores. When we're supporting produce that comes from places that are not quality manufactured and pumped out poorly and lack less nutrition and mass produced, this is something that most of us would rather not see. We'd rather see the high quality, small production, local, but are you buying it? These are some of the things that when it comes to networks and community and markets are included in this. You need to align your values to those networks, or you're just not going to be experiencing the world and the existence that you would like to be. This is an area that's being positively lit up right now with connections to your partnerships and community, and more neighbors in your setting, and it can be short distance travel, third house stuff, communication, siblings. So that's the grand trine for you when it comes to friendships, networks, and short distance travel, smaller communities, and your partnerships. So it looks like the grocery store example was just a random one that came to my head, but it does look like you could be doing something that's more local and small scale and community based, and that's something that with a partner matters to you more than you realized before this full moon. However, that can show up in a lot of different ways. That was just one example. Overall, this is still really about your creative self-expression, your joy, your children, romance, love, what really matters to you in your heart. That's what's going to show up at this full moon. Let me know how it's going for you, Aquarius. Thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me or a 2025 planner for your sign, it is all of the new moons and full moons for 2025, as well as a month by month Mercury guide so that you can see how to focus your energy every 2 weeks and every month and align it with the stars, and also take a break when that's called for too. I will link both of those in the description below. Thank you again for being here and have a wonderful full moon. I'll see you next time. Hi Pisces. This is a 4th house full moon for you. So this is about your family, your inner world, your home. This is the part of yourself that the rest of the world doesn't often see. And you are reaching a whole new level in this part of your life. This is an area where Jupiter is right now, and that means that whatever is being illuminated at the time of this full moon is opening up for healing. I love this 4th house healing energy. It is something that can just have such a huge impact on the rest of your life. The 4th house is at the very bottom of your chart, the very bottom of the wheel in the pie. and it is the foundation. We talk about the first house all the time because that is the ascendant and that is where it all started. But the fourth house is what is rooted in the ground, the deepest part of us, and holds the base for everything else above. This is where you're going through a probably change, probably reaching a new level. Saturn and Neptune have been in your sign for quite some time, and they are sending a square right now to this moon, or in a square tension with this moon. So it looks like there is something that's showing up that's uncomfortable right now that has to do with your family, your inner world, your upbringing, the way that your family raised you, and that created some of that foundational energy inside of you. But with Saturn in your first house and your first house ruler Neptune in your first house for this longer transit, you've been going through somewhat of a Pluto journey. Like this, everyone's talking about Pluto and Capricorn, but we're not talking as much about how much of a restructuring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces is for those Pisces individuals. So I think, given that you are at the end of that cycle, creeping towards it anyway, this is a moment of, I think it's a bit of an explosion moment. A bursting is the impression that I get. And it's not that this is explosive energy in a challenging way. It's more that like bursting forth, pressure releasing of a full moon that we get. That there has been this building and growing awareness in your inner world that is bursting into a new level, a new cycle. And what was maybe constricted and held back by, well, just the way our systems work. When things are painful or uncomfortable in our upbringing, the psyche has a way of creating a blind spot and suppressing it in our systems. But life has a way of activating those suppressed experiences little by little until we start to look at them. And this is one of those moments where that looking at things in a new way creates a release of energy. Even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment, I think this is going to feel like such a pressure release for Pisces, especially because it's your first house and your fourth house that we're talking about here with this square. The sun is in your 10th house with Mercury. That is opposing this moon. And so you have your angles lit up, which are the main quadrants in the chart. So with Mercury and the sun in your 10th house, this is going back over things to do with your career, reputation, public image, how other people see you. I love the 4th and 10th house axis because this is about your inner world and how it's expressed on the outside. Personally, I have always been a big believer that truth means that we express what is on the inside, and that somehow is the goal. That if we are expressing what is genuinely us, if it isn't clouded by a lot of the energy that was more destructive from others around us, upbringing or whatever it is, that there's this pure essence underneath it all that can be tapped into and expressed out to others. So in this 4th house axis of inner world and outer world, this is a balance between what's actually in there and what we show. If it is too unbalanced, if any part of our chart is unbalanced in astrology, the activations of these points are going to continue to create scenarios that create more discomfort until we figure out how to balance the energy. I think that a lot of what's happening right now has to do with re-imprinting and having the awareness as in the state that we're in with humans, to reprogram who we are consciously rather than just become an imprint or copy of our parents and our generations. That is what's happening right now. That is what's also going to be creating a ripple effect in your career and public image and what you show other people. And the more that those two are activated, the more aligned they become, the better that energy feels, the better it feels to be in the public eye, and the better it feels inside of our own bodies as well. I don't know if this is work that is ever complete. I think that sometimes I wonder if it is just an ongoing process. But this is one of those moments where this process is going to start to feel better for you. There might be some shaking or releasing in the moment that initially feels uncomfortable, but ultimately this is a powerful one for you, Pisces, when it's happening in those quadrants, lighting up the main pieces of your chart. You know, this Mars opposition to Venus and Pluto is happening in your 6th and 12th house. So there is a layer here of your day-to-day habits, activities, health. Mars here means that, and this is work as well, the work that we do on a day-to-day mundane basis. This means that there could be some slowdowns, or you could be going over some past issues with your productivity and the way things get done in a day-to-day way. This also has to do with balancing out rest and retreat and psychic connection, intuitive connection, the subconscious. Pluto's journey in your 12th house is about transforming your subconscious, transforming your psychic connection and your connection to energy. And this is the house of Pisces. This is the house that Pisces naturally rules. So this is a taste of what Pluto is bringing in a bigger picture sense. But this is a new cycle of rest, retreat, connection to the unseen realm and subconscious, as well as how you put that into your health and day-to-day activities. Again, I like to talk about these axes as something to balance out. So if you are working too hard, you're pushing yourself too much with your routines and your habits, and you're not getting enough rest, that can create illness. If you are spending too much time in the dreamland and resting too much or dissociating, or even meditation and connection to the unseen realm, it takes away from the ability to be grounded and productive and put things into material form, which is what the 6th house wants. That can also create illness. So it is all about creating balance in this part of your life as well. These are all big houses to have activated during this moon, Pisces. I do think that it looks like rest and retreat wherever you can is going to be important during this cycle with Venus there. It's something that you're going to get pleasure out of. So if you are the type of person that has any guilt around time away and taking a break, not while Venus is in your 12th house. This is the time to take a luxury vacation if you can. This is the time to pamper yourself, to take a time out, to take a break. And it doesn't have to be just a break. This can be a time where you are connecting to your subconscious and connecting to your inner world and doing a lot of healing by the looks of what is going on in your 4th house with this moon. A lot of subconscious healing, a lot of inner world and energetic and psychological transformation for you, Pisces. Let me know how things are going in the comments below. This is definitely a time when, if you feel drawn to getting a personal reading, could really help process some of the 12th house is also our blind spots, and talking to anyone else, whether it's an astrologer or a psychologist or someone who might be able to point out something that we haven't seen yet, or just put things in a way that help us go down a different path with our own self-discovery. This is an opportune time for that. So personal readings, as well as I have 2025 planners ready. They are a mini new moon and full moon reading every 2 weeks for each sign. And there is a month-to-month guide by sign as well on Mercury retrograde, how to use it each month, what you can do to take advantage of Mercury energy, and what you can do to when it's good to just chill out and take a break. Thank you so much for being here, listening, liking, subscribing, Pisces. I will see you next time and have a wonderful full moon. Hi, Aries. This is third house full moon for you. So this is about communication, siblings, neighbors, short distance travel, transportation. This could be your vehicle, the way that you get around. This is media and expression, though. This is the words that you say, the way that you express yourself, the way that you get your ideas across. This is even your mind on a day-to-day way. This is mental chatter. This is functionality. This is the part of the chart that I think turns energy into matter. And our words do that. Our mindset does that. This also is our early childhood education. So this has to do with elementary school level education. The sun, however, on the other side with Mercury is in your 9th house of higher learning. That's academia and gurus, teachers that help expand your beliefs about the world. This is worldly knowledge that comes into your psyche and changes the lens that you perceive the world through. This is where your spirituality is, and religions can be here, astrology, the mindset of the bigger picture. And then the third house is the mindset of how you get things done in a day-to-day way. Rules your hands too. So that could be, like, I think of the manual things of getting things done, like washing the dishes and driving to work or whatever it is. These are the topics that are really highlighted right now with Jupiter and Mercury, and those two signs that Jupiter and Mercury rule, which is Gemini and Sagittarius. Now I'm bringing up those signs again because this is also the axis that those rule. So for you, this is a huge emphasis, as it is for Aries rising people, on 3rd and 9th house matters. It really is important that your beliefs are staying open, you're staying curious and looking around for clues, looking at foreign people, foreign concepts, foreign places. What do these things that are not normal to you, what messages do they hold, and how can they feed the things that you do in a day-to-day way and in a practical way? How can they feed your mindset and having a healthy mind that is allowing space to function in the ways that you want it to? Somehow this could incorporate neighbors, cousins, siblings, close relatives, people that are close to you, short distance travel. Those people might have a message for you, or there might be some changes. This could be on a very practical level. This could be a change in neighborhood or with communication or transportation, or somebody like a sibling or close relative that's close to you. The Mars opposition to Pluto and Venus is happening in your 5th and 11th house axis. This is about friends, networks, fun, pleasure, joy, creative expression. Pluto is here to completely transform your networks and friends. Could be your clients, could be the markets that you go to. These are the people that are more loosely connected to us, but still people that are allies and supporters in our lives. If you are a member of a yoga community, or you go to certain grocery stores, your friends, if you have a bigger community of friends that are your acquaintances, but they are not the people that you're going to call when you're crying type of people. But these are the people that still create a feedback of energy in our lives. And this is something that with Venus here is starting a new beautiful cycle. So you might be finding that new groups of people are coming into your life, and they could be artistic, they could be appealing to you in some way. They could be what you align with your values and what you value when it comes to the pleasures of the five senses in this life. And Mars in your fifth house is about what you were passionate about. This is motivation for your creative projects. It could be for children. The retrograde period that is starting with Mars here is going to have you recalibrating those thoughts about children, fun, creative projects. You might feel your momentum thwarted slightly. It will come back. It will come back with a vengeance, and it will be even stronger when it comes back around. But this recalibration needs to happen in order for you to be more aligned with your authentic self and your creative projects in the end. Keep that in mind if you're feeling your passion's a bit waned. It will come back, and it is purposeful so that you start to question things. So give yourself space to do that when you are feeling a little dulled, maybe. This is also your ruler with Mars. So you could feel, some days I just wake up and I just don't feel joy and excitement. And it's not that you're not going to feel those things. It's that there could just don't be too hard on the situations around you if you're not feeling like yourself and you're feeling less energized and inspired by things. Inspired is the word I wanted. That might feel a little hindered. And when our motivation and inspiration is low, that can just make us feel a little wonky, especially Aries people, because that is your ruler. So have patience. End of February, that will come back. And just to be very clear, I'm not saying that you are not going to feel motivated and inspired. It's just that you might question those things more during this cycle. Neptune and Saturn are in your 12th house, and they are squaring this moon. Your rest, your retreat, your dissociation, your ability to check out and take a break, travel, rest, meditation, creative psychic energy. These things are challenging the full moon. This is great energy to put those intuitive, subconscious, creative juices into a writing project and get them into material form. This is an interesting one, Aries. Let me know how this is going for you in the comments below, because it's really interesting to think about the communication piece and the seclusion piece. So this is a great energy for taking time out and writing, but at the same time, there's going to be some friction in that is beneficial to where you're going with restructuring your communication, perhaps. It could be that short distance travel turns into overseas travel. I think for most people, this is going to show up in taking time out for a rest. It's time to think about and process and analyze your communication, and maybe something that you do manually. There could be something hidden that comes to light when it comes to communication. This one's stumping me, which is funny because 12th house stuff is the blind spot. It's what we cannot see. It is subconscious material. And that is coming to a head with this full moon in some way. At the very least, take a time out to write down your thoughts, and maybe something unexpected or hidden will come through from your subconscious that you didn't think was there. Let me know if it does. That one really stumped me. I don't usually get so stumped with looking at some of these transits. But thank you so much for being here, Aries. And if you would like to look ahead at 2025, I have my 2025 planners on sale for $30 Canadian right now. They are a mini new moon and full moon reading for the whole year, and Mercury advice each month on what Mercury's doing, how to take advantage, and when to step back for all of those energies. And as always, if you would like a one-on-one reading, I will link that below as well. Thank you so much for listening, being here, liking, subscribing. It really means a lot. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Taurus, this is a second house full moon for you. So this has to do with what you value, your resources, the energy that you maintain within your own system, and that energy of another person or a significant other people that support you, that you build intimacy with potentially. There's balancing in energy to do there. This is also, when it comes to the second house and eighth house balancing, this is an activation of deep psychological transformation sometimes. I think that could be a significant piece for some Taurians out there, because there is a lot of emphasis in your fourth house for the next few months, with Mars starting its retrograde cycle and continuing that for 4 months in your third and fourth house. For you, those are going to bring up topics of family and home and inner world. This has to do with the values and the belief systems that you were raised with, and which ones you would like to keep and adopt, and which ones you might like to transform. There could be a network, community, groups of friends that are part of this story right now that create an activation of this full moon. It's maybe through your communities, through something that someone says or something you experience that makes you think more about what you value when it comes to those connections, potentially. But it's going to have to do with your inner world and your home life first and foremost. This is just, it's the 11th house in your friends and networks and communities. This could be groups that you're a part of. This could be markets and places that you shop. These are casual people that feed our daily experiences, but they matter. And there's some restructuring here, or some stern information that seems to be part of what is changing what you value. It might be changing your possessions, how you spend money, how you spend your energy, maybe even how you receive energy. There is something potentially from your upbringing in your inner world, maybe something in your current home life that could be blocking you from receiving energy, or blocking you from being connected with who you truly are. Career and reputation is coming into play as well, and that's what's creating the opposition tension with Mars in your fourth house. So all of this talk about inner world and what's going on the inside for you, there is transformation to be done on the outside with your career, your reputation. This has to do with Venus being here right now, which is a lovely energy. It means that you are being seen in a great light. People are seeing the beauty in you, probably your inner beauty shining through right now. That is something that can, if those of you that are working in careers where beauty and image is part of that, then this is great energy for that. You might be recalibrating your personal energy so that you can spend more time at work and in the public eye in some way. Pluto in your 10th house is going to be creating massive transformation there for the next 10 years when it comes to career status, public image. With Venus here right now, this could be the things that you value around those topics that are changing. And that makes a lot of sense with the second house full moon. The second house is ruled by Venus. It is what we value. It is a Taurus rulership as well. Venus is your ruler. So this all adds extra layers and extra emphasis to the energy that's already playing out. But for you, because Venus rules Taurus and the second house is the classic position for Taurus, that means that these Taurian qualities are coming into question even more. Taurus is a sign you do like a sense of security, and your sense of security comes from knowing that you can be comfortable and enjoying the simple pleasures in life. This could be an energy where you need to recalibrate that because something in your public image is changing, or something in the public arena or career, and as things in our worlds and experiences change, we sometimes need to recalibrate how we derive pleasure and how we spend our energy and those sort of things. So this one is pretty straightforward for Taurus energy this moon cycle. It is all about possessions, beauty, value, security, assets, where you spend your resources. You want to make sure that you are enjoying things with your networks. You want to make sure that your image is in check and on point for what you want to represent. But that all comes from the fourth house. That fourth house is the foundation of the chart at the very bottom. And that is what is deep within our core that the rest of the world doesn't always see. However, when we're getting an activation of the 10th and 4th house with this Pluto-Mars, especially because that's an intense one, that is a time where what is on the inside is more expressed on the outside, and you are going to notice it, other people are going to notice it, and it's what you do with it that matters. It's what you do with your inner world when you see that projection. That's the opportunity here. And it's going to probably have something to do with changing your values and maybe changing your networks. Or maybe those will be something that is an external situation that creates friction or stress and has you look at all these topics. Lots of possibilities. If you would like to process more with a personal reading with me, or see 2025 ahead in all the new moon and full moons, every 2 week reading for each sign. Also, it's a mini reading, but also a month to month. What is Mercury up to? How to take advantage, or what to watch out for with all the Mercury cycles throughout the year. Those are only $30 Canadian. I will link both personal readings and those planners in the description below. Thank you so much for being here, liking, watching, subscribing. It is so fun to be here every 2 weeks for the moon cycles, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is your full moon of the year, and this is a big one, especially for you because it is hitting your quadrants. And when we have a square, and this is your personal full moon, you also have this energy coming from your 10th house and your 7th house of partnerships. So that's a lot to balance out. Luckily, you have Jupiter in your sign up until next June, and you've had it since June of this year. Jupiter is protecting you and supporting you and healing you, healing your body. So whatever comes up, this is part of that story, very likely, where the goal is just to become aware of different layers of energy that you are experiencing, that you are creating, that you are regurgitating from your upbringing, and how this shows up in your public image, in your career life, in your work. With the Sun and Mercury retrograde being in your 7th house, opposing this full moon in your first, it could be that these challenges with partnerships are a work partner. It could be a romantic partner. It could be a karmic person in your life that has come here to teach you a lesson. So the energy that is being balanced out right now can come from any of those significant people. The point of balancing out energy is to balance your axis, to balance Gemini and Sagittarius energy in other. In astrology, it is said that if you are not operating in the optimal energy of your sign, which for you is Gemini, then you start to reflect the not so great qualities of, or the less admirable qualities. There are no not good qualities, maybe. Anyway, you start to reflect the less desirable qualities of your partnership house, which is Sagittarius. That would be things like being overconfident, boisterous, overly optimistic to the point of not getting the information, which is what Gemini does so well. Gemini gathers the information. Gemini is curious. Gemini makes sure sometimes that all the information is there to the cost of taking action. Whereas Sagittarius could just leap off the cliff in faith and not get the facts about what the consequences of that action could be. The goal is to balance both. And I wanted to bring up more of this dynamic because this is emphasized so much with Mercury and Jupiter being in opposing signs and being part of this full moon, sun and moon opposition. Maybe that's showing up in your life somewhere, not necessarily with you. Maybe it's showing up in another person. Maybe it's showing up in ways that are just reflecting pieces of information back to you that you will then integrate into your system and into who you are. A full moon in your sign is about reaching a new level of who you are. It could be a sudden change in your body. So this could be a new level with your physical body. And maybe that is restructuring how you're seen at work and your public image. The Mars opposition to Pluto and Venus is happening in your 3rd and 9th house. This has to do with mindset, ideas, belief systems. The 9th house is the Sagittarius house. It is about seeking higher knowledge and gathering wisdom. There is a transformation that is going to happen with your mindset. Right now, Venus is alongside Pluto, starting a new cycle, but also offering a layer of pleasure, beauty, protection. Mars in your 3rd house, this is interesting. You could have more frustrations with commuting and short distance travel. You could have conflicts with a neighbor or a sibling come back up for revision. And whatever is causing delays, causing lack of motivation, causing frustration in the 3rd house with transportation, siblings, cousins, close relatives, those are the ingredients that are going to help with the mindset shift, the spiritual integration, the higher learning, and the expanding your perspective on life and your beliefs. So keep that in mind if any challenges come up with siblings, close relatives. This is also sending positive energy to your networks and communities and your friends and allies and the direction that your life is going in that way. So if you are losing neighbors, maybe you're gaining a new community in some way. And you are going to be happy that Mercury is going direct in your partnership house. So any miscommunication or confusion around partners and your own energy levels, because Mercury is your ruler. So when Mercury is retrograde, you can feel less motivated and less energized. That is going direct on December 15th. And you are going to start to gain more clarity, have better conversations with significant people, especially partners, if that relates to you. The work that you have been doing and any delays that have come up or topics from the past with partnerships, those are going to have more resolution and move forward very shortly after this full moon. Overall, Gemini, this is an energy that is transforming you. This is a whole new you that is emerging. And let me know how things are going in the comments below. It could show up in so many ways. If you would like to process more and get a clearer understanding with your personal birth chart with me, I will leave a link in the description below for my live Zoom readings, as well as 2025 planners. If you would like to look ahead and get a mini new moon and full moon reading, this is based on signs, so they're PDF forms that I've done for each sign. Every 2 weeks, you get a sense of the energy playing out for the whole year ahead, as well as a month-to-month summary of how to work with Mercury, how to work with the energy that it is in, and how to use it to your advantage. So I've created these with the intention of having some streamlined energy for people running their own business and creating their own schedule. But there is personal, romantic, and home related information in there too. So they're really relevant for anyone who's interested. Only $30 Canadian right now. Thank you so much for being here, watching, liking, subscribing. It really means a lot. And I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a 12th house full moon for you. So this could be something that was hidden that comes to light. This is your blind spot, your subconscious, time away from the rest of the world. So time away from work and your daily grind. This could be time for a lovely retreat or escape, especially with Jupiter here, and maybe one that you've been planning for quite some time, and Jupiter is helping you go back and put that into reality. Great timing after the new moon, December 15th, when Mercury goes direct in your 6th house. This is a time actually when you're going to find that your routines and day-to-day life start to go a little smoother than maybe it has since around November 20th, 23rd-ish. But it's the 6th and 12th house axis that is really lit up for you. This has to do with health, rest, retreat, work, productivity, organization. And this is a time when you're going to be focusing more on the rest and retreat part, and maybe building momentum in work and organization as Mercury goes direct there. I think probably you have some pretty good balance in that part of your chart. And for a lot of you, it's going to have to do with something that you didn't see coming up. Even though this isn't a huge Uranus activity moon, which is usually what shows the unexpected, or this could be a time where you're keeping something under wraps for now, that you have a secret. It's another piece of that. Maybe it's a work-related one as well. Saturn in your 9th house with Neptune is squaring this moon. That is where the challenging energy is coming from. This is foreign places, foreign people, education, higher learning. Something about your perspective is changing and getting restructured, and that is changing how you balance work and rest and time away and time with productivity. Maybe even health and psychic subconscious material. You might be learning new things about subconscious and psychic material and spirituality, and that is starting to manifest in your daily life somehow. So you're getting more in tune with psychic information, connection to creative energy, connection to unseen realms that are helping you manage your energy better and make really efficient choices. Good health choices too. Venus and Pluto are in your 8th house. There's an opposition with Mars in your 2nd, creating some tension right now. The new cycle with Venus and Pluto in your 8th house, well, this looks like an activation of going through some of the dark side of psychology of connecting with another person in an intimate way, or maybe in your own. So when you start to open yourself up and expand and connect with another person in deeper ways, you are also understanding yourself in a deeper way. With Venus here, there is an aspect of beauty and pleasure. You could be really enjoying this deep connection, and maybe something a little, this is the house of Scorpio. So when it comes to romance, this can be intense and passion. With Mars retrograding in your 2nd house, what you value with your energy could be changing. Your energy could feel temporarily thwarted, or your inspiration just a little bit less than usual. This cycle is going to last until the end of February, and it is not going to be a cycle that is going to have that feeling the whole time, because it's going to change and go into your sign. I suppose that could also manifest in a decreased motivation and inspiration. But the purpose of that, if it happens, is recalibrating. So when you're feeling less motivated and inspired, those are moments that we start to question why we feel that way. Are we really in alignment with what matters to us? Is this something that really does bring us passion? And all of those questions start to come out that reevaluate your values and a little bit of who you are as a person as far as the bigger cycle. So this is a time when passion and transformation happens in relationships. This is a time when your values transform so that then your relationships and the passion there also transforms. It could happen in ways that you did not see coming. It could happen in more time away from the world, in private. And this does look like, for some of you, there's a lot of retreat time and bonding with another person. And this could just be your own psyche and psychological transformation. Great time to work with a psychologist or a therapist, or grab some great books and take a break and really go inward and see what it is that wants to come up for change. Thank you so much for being here, Cancer. If you would like to process more of this with an astrologer, me, I will leave a link in the description below. Energy like this is a great time to get a reading. This can bring up information and get you thinking about things in a different way, or give certain ideas that then your mind starts to shift and expand and look at things differently. I am also selling my 2025 planners that are available now, only $30 Canadian, and those are a mini new moon and full moon reading for each sign based on, so you purchase them by sign, so you would get Cancer, and it's based on Cancer. You would get a mini reading every 2 weeks for what's going on for all Cancerians out there, and as well as a focused Mercury report month to month on how to use the Mercury energy to your advantage and when to take breaks and pedal to the metal, as they say. I will link that in the description as well. Thank you again for being here, watching, liking, subscribing. It is so fun to chat with you in the comments. It means a lot, and I will see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is an 11th house full moon for you. So this is all about friends, networks, communities, the connections that you have in the outside world of your everyday life, people that support you. On the opposing side of this full moon is your 5th house, and that is fun, creativity, children, pleasure, and it is the area of the chart that represents love and dating and infatuation. Both of these are lit up for you at this time, and there is very likely going to be some changes in your communities and the people that you hang out with. Either new ones are coming in, or some might be ending, maybe a mix of both. And it's tied to what matters to you with having fun. If you have children, maybe it is tied to your children, and your friends are changing because you're friends with your children's friends' parents, and that just takes a natural shift. But this will be something from the outside that changes for you. Probably one that you are appreciating, one that you've wanted anyway. Saturn and Neptune are squaring this moon from your 8th house. So there could be a layer of your own internal transformation that is shifting your friends. So your psychology, maybe you have gone through a metamorphosis and death and rebirth of some kind, and now your communities no longer fit who you are. In some cases, there could be some financial support, or the depth of the connection isn't matching what you need, and those problems get in the way of continuing on with the friends that you have been hanging out with, or the communities. What I really find significant for you, Leo, during this period is that Mars-Pluto opposition and that Mars opposition to Venus and Pluto starting a new cycle, because Mars is in your sign and Venus and Pluto are in your seventh house. So that's a really big deal when it's on the first and seventh axis, just as far as how potent that energy will be and how much more you could feel it than some of the other signs out there, depending on each person's birth chart, of course. Mars retrograde in your first house can be an agitating feeling. So it could be that frustrating feeling of having energy that you want to that you want to expel and release from your body, but nowhere to put it. So if you are feeling a bit of that, just know that there is purpose in something that's going to be reprogrammed with your inner passion, what really motivates you, maybe your athletic and sport and physical endeavors as well. If you are somebody who is typically more Mars in nature, which means that you have a lot of vitality, you could be more aggressive with your body as far as physical exercise. A retrograde here can make you question the type of movement that you want to do with your body, and maybe there's some changes there. Maybe this is a time where you become more passionate about health routines and how you treat your body. And when Mars goes direct in Leo again, you'll start to be more athletic or play on more sports teams or something along those lines. With this opposition between Mars and Pluto and the Venus-Pluto conjunction in your seventh, that is a new romantic cycle. Some of you could be starting a new relationship that feels very Plutonian. There could be undertones of obsession and passion, and maybe that's what this Mars in your first house story is about, that you are going on a bit of a journey when it comes to the raw animalistic energy that we can have when we come into a partnership with somebody, especially if there is an intense attraction. And given that the sun is in your fifth house, that is where, and Mercury retrograde there too, that is where infatuation comes into play. Infatuation can take hold and actually multiply. It can really sometimes get out of hand and have a more dark nature to it. That is why it is said that healthier relationships don't have that infatuation piece, that they feel more grounded and relaxed, and you don't have that desire in the same way when you feel like you need somebody, that you have to have them, you can't live without them. It's like a hunger. This is what you might be balancing out in some way. So if it is not showing up romantically, then it could be showing up in other partnerships where there is a power struggle of some kind, where there is unhealthy hunger, like a desire to compete, to control, for security, for safety. Those are some of the things that come in to infatuation situations, I think, as well, is that when we feel so driven and motivated and hungry for something or someone, there is a sense of security in that if we get that desire satiated, we will feel better. And then what happens is the situation goes on for a longer period of time. We find that that all dissipates. So does the infatuation. And then the charge for that person is no longer there. And there actually isn't the grounded foundation of what really makes a relationship work. This can show up in business too. This can show up in any way that somebody wants to dominate a situation in order to feel like they're getting their needs met and in order to feel like they are accomplishing some kind of safety. And back to this square from Saturn and Neptune in the 8th house to Jupiter and the moon in your 11th, which Just to add there, I didn't mention that Jupiter with the moon in the 11th house is a blessing. This is healing, this is expansion. So you could be gaining networks and gaining friends, not necessarily losing them. And if you are losing any, it is to gain even more. Saturn and Neptune in the eighth house, Saturn is asking for more discernment. The eighth house is a scorpionic Pluto house. So this is the house of, like I said before, transformation and metamorphosis, psychology and changes there. But this is also where there can be some more Plutonian topics. They can be about control and obsession. They can be about transformation. They can be about all of it. Even though there are lots of different areas of your chart lit up at this time, Leo, it seems to all come down to some Plutonian topics with friends, with networks, with wishes coming true, and with partnerships, with romantic intention. So if you're not familiar with Pluto, Google some Pluto stuff in addition to this video to find out more. It's always a bit hard for me to talk about Pluto because some of the energies of Pluto can sound so extreme, and I don't think that's always how it manifests. So I don't want to put that energy out there as a possibility. But I do want to say that this is going, regardless of what is happening around you, Pluto is an inside job. Pluto is about your psychology. And if there are things around you that are affecting you in any particular way that stands out, think about Pluto topics that way. Always think about your psychology and what that means from what's happening around you. And enjoy the new friends. Enjoy the 11th house full moon, because I'm talking about some heavier stuff, but this is actually a really lovely place to have a full moon. It can be really fun, and building new acquaintances and community is always a lovely thing. If you would like to process more with a personal chart reading with me, or you would like to look ahead at 2025 and get a mini new moon and full moon reading, these are generic based on the signs. I've written out a PDF file for 2025. So you get a mini reading for every 2 weeks for your sign, as well as a Mercury summary of how to use Mercury each month, what Mercury is doing, what the benefits are, what to watch out for. I will link both of those in the description below. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Virgo. This is a 10th house full moon for you. So this is all about career, status, reputation. Jupiter is here too. So this is a wonderful time to expand your career, expand your reputation and your visibility. Let people see you. Mercury is about to go direct. Mercury is your ruler, and Mercury will be stationed direct in your 4th house at the time that this moon is exact, and moments afterward it will move direct. This is going to be a big pressure release for you of all of the signs as well, because Mercury gaining momentum hour by hour after this full moon means that the energy that is coming to the surface is clearing something very likely that is giving you more stamina again. And it probably has to do with the Mercury retrograde in your internal world. You have likely been doing some rewriting and reprogramming of who you are deep down. It might have to do with your spiritual beliefs in Sagittarius. It might have to do with just your beliefs about the world. It could have a component of gathering information from foreign people and foreign places, and being in a foreign environment where those new things start to influence and help the reprogramming that you are doing on the inside. Mercury is sending a beautiful trine energy in communication with Mars and the North Node. The North Node is in your 8th house of other people's resources, and Mars is in your 12th house. So this has to do with time away from reality, meditation, dissociation, vacation, faraway places, overseas. And the North Node in the 8th house is transformation as well. This could be psychological transformation, metamorphosis, complete renewal of your psyche. This is also other people's resources. So whatever is happening right now with this transformation configuration that has a lot to do with Mercury down in the foundation of your 4th house and the work that it has been doing there for the past month or so, that is probably going to start to change the support and security that you receive from other people as well. There could be somebody overseas that is helping some of this, or your intuition is just going through a big shift and more passion and desire to connect with that energetic part of you, that subconscious part of you. Mars is starting its retrograde journey in this part of your chart, the 12th house. So there is more to come with what has to do with your intuition, foreign places, overseas places, checking out from reality, dissociation, having a break, and that balance of work and relaxation, work and rest. You have Pluto and Venus in your 6th house starting a brand new cycle when it comes to work, your daily habits, your routines, how you manage your day on a mundane level, and the things you get done. How organized are you? How efficient are you? As a Virgo, you would like to be as organized as possible, and there is probably no ceiling to the amount of efficiency and organization that you can create. In fact, I'm looking forward to hearing from Virgos out there on what this Pluto transit ends up looking like over the next 20 years, because I have a feeling that Virgos are just going to skyrocket in their ability to get things done and also take more time away from work and really learn what it is like to serve and receive energy and rest and then serve. There has been a lot of disconnection between the 6th and the 12th house historically, that people that serve are not the people that get to rest and go to luxury resorts. And like I love to say, this astrology is about balance, and it's about finding that harmonious center in that teetering axis. The harmonious center means that you get to both work hard, serve, be organized, and have a luxurious, restful, easy time as well. Whatever luxurious means to a Virgo, because Virgo is one of the signs that is more simplified and appreciates things in a simple way in life. So luxury to a Virgo is probably having everything very clean and organized, and that's about all you need. Back to this full moon portion in your 10th house, Neptune and Saturn in your 7th house are in square to this moon and creating more of a tense energy from your partnership house. Saturn here is showing you the last few lessons that you are learning when it comes to seeing through the rose-colored glasses into what is actually real when it comes to people and partnerships, and what is grounded and has a strong foundation, not just a dream and a fantasy that can never stand the test of time. So there is something about partnerships for you that is playing a role in your inner world and your outer world right now, in your inner makings, maybe your home life and your career and what you project out to the public. Because there are so many planets retrograde, someone from the past could be coming back around. This could be a time where you are reaching a new status when it comes to relationships, but I don't think that that's going to be the prominent energy out there. I think it's going to be more about career and inner world, and there are just significant people playing a role right now. Watch for that. If there is any friction that shows up, know that it is just part of what is creating that transformation in the inner and outer for you. And it is going to have a huge payoff in how you come across to the rest of the world and the way your public image is received and your career and so on. For you, Virgo, I really like this energy of overseas and home connection and inner world. Whatever is changing in your inner world looks like it is creating big shifts in your outer world. This full moon could give you a taste of that. And I think that there is a lot more to come when we roll into 2025 and all of that new, fresh energy comes in with so many planets changing signs. If you would like a preview of 2025, I have planners available now. They're written out per sign. And I have done a bi-weekly mini reading for new moon and full moon based on your sign, and then a monthly breakdown of Mercury and what Mercury is up to, how to use Mercury to your advantage each month. Those are on sale now for $30 Canadian. I will link that in the description below, as well as my website link for birth chart readings. If you are interested in a one-on-one Zoom reading with me, check out that link and I would love to see you there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this full moon brings lovely big changes. This is a big one for Virgos because of the way it's hitting your axes, the main cross along the chart, which is the most potent energy. So again, enjoy. Thank you for being here, liking, subscribing, watching, commenting. It all means so much, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Libra. This is a 9th house full moon for you. So this is all about your beliefs about the world, how the world works, your mindset, higher learning. This is energy where a new teacher could come into your life or leave. This is energy where a new education could be part of the story. Form of higher learning, publication could be something that you've been working on and it's finally here. If you are a teacher, there could be changes in what you are teaching. But the energy at its essence is the 3rd and 9th house, which is all about knowledge. It is the practical knowledge in the 3rd house of how we use our mind and our writing and our words to get things done on a day-to-day, in a practical day-to-day way. And then the 9th house is where we are more expansive in our mind, and it's more about understanding the bigger picture of how the world works. The 3rd house energy is a big focus right now with Mercury retrograde there and the Sun. You've probably been working on a writing project or your vocabulary, you're speaking in some way. This can have to do with transportation, vehicles, short distance travel, siblings, close relatives, neighbors, people that are in your close proximity. I like to look at this as, how is your daily mind working for you or working against you? How are the words that you are saying and the ways that you are writing and articulating yourself working in your favor or not? And these are tools that really help us in the world, but if they are not worked on and nurtured, then we can't get the ideas from the 9th house of the bigger picture and maybe what really matters down into text and format that we can actually make sense of and share with others. This is also a part of your chart where you can learn new spiritual practices to nurture your mind and keep your mind healthy and sharp and functioning really well for you. Jupiter in your 9th house is really expanding how you see the world though. And it is here to show you how people in other places do things, and that you are then able to adopt that into your life. Or at least the pieces that make sense for you and you really vibrate with, and take those and leave the rest. This Mars opposition to Pluto and Venus in your fifth house, this has to do with your networks, your communities. You could be feeling passionate about changing some of those networks and communities, maybe places that you shop at, because the 11th house also rules markets. And Venus and Pluto in your fifth house are starting a brand new cycle when it comes to your passions around pleasure and romance. Maybe even just the joy and pleasure that you derive from your hobbies, maybe your children if you have them. This Venus conjunction to Pluto can have some obsessive qualities to it. So depending on each person's personal chart, if you have any tendencies to obsess or try to control situations when it comes to how much joy and pleasure you get rather than going with the flow, those things could come up now, and you might see how having anything out of balance for the sake of safety can create dysfunction and illness in our lives. And when we don't necessarily feel like we have to grip on to fun and hold on to pleasure like it's never coming back again, when we can ebb and flow with what comes to us naturally and what is healthy for us energetically, then we are enjoying things in a more sustainable way. Pluto and Venus starting a new cycle in this part of your chart reminds me of the roller coaster that we can go on when it comes to being in touch with our childlike selves and enjoying true pleasure versus chasing fun and then maybe unhealthy fun and then crashing afterwards. There is an authenticity that is going to emerge from this Pluto transit in your fifth house. And it comes from working through all of the things that are unhealthy attachments to pleasure and joy, that are not real authentic joy, but the superficial feelings of joy that we get from something that is something we've been desiring that we get. And once we get it, that desire to have it is no longer there. And then we are left feeling a bit hungry to be needing something else. I hope that makes sense, but we'll talk about this lots and lots as over the next 20 years as Pluto continues its long journey through this part of your house. It will be relevant with a lot of the smaller transits that come up like this one. This Mars activation, it means that there is a connection with your friends and networks that is making you more aware of where pleasure might not be of the quality that you actually would like. And you are going to find yourself more aligned with groups that help you feel more authentic, pure, childlike joy and fun than the groups that maybe you're hanging out with now. Or maybe you are the one that is taking a leadership role and changing the dynamic of how you enjoy your hobbies and the people that you are surrounded with through those hobbies. Now, back to this ninth house moon, you have Neptune and Saturn squaring this sun and moon from your sixth house. That means that any fogginess or rose-colored glasses you have had about unhealthy habits or glazing over your day-to-day tasks, maybe with work being more in a dreamlike creative quality than in an energy where you are getting grounded, disciplined work out. So this can be related to work, this could be related to your daily life, your habits, and ways of going about things. Something is happening around the time of this full moon that is giving you the discipline to maybe shift your mindset, maybe get things done when it comes to writing and media projects, and get that creative energy into something material that matters and that can stand the test of time. Very likely related to work for a lot of Libras out there based on what I'm seeing as far as Saturn, but this could have to do with health. There could be a health component where you are focusing on, this could be an energy where you are focusing on healthy routines, getting up at a time that feels good for you, eating at regular, consistent times, taking moments throughout the day to breathe and make sure your body is feeling aligned and moving through some of the anxiety. Whatever it is in your day-to-day life is about to get restructured and reformatted in a way that is going to be more supportive moving forward. So that's a lot. And even though you do have this Saturn square to the moon, which speaks of discipline and structure and the tough love of getting things done, it's probably going to make room for more joy because you have this fifth house activation. It's going to make more room for joy. It's going to align you with people that are able to match where you're at when it comes to being a hard worker and enjoying yourself. But ultimately, it is your mind and the tasks that you do with your hands and your mind and your vocabulary that are really your asset right now. I hope this goes really well for you, Libra. If you would like to process more information with a live Zoom call with me with your personal chart or a 2025 planner, I have written a PDF per sign that is a mini new moon and full moon reading for all of 2025 and for each month, that is. That's about 12 to 15 pages, depending on the sign. And then a Mercury summary for each month of 2025, which gives you information on how to work with Mercury, when to take a break, and everything you need to know. I made this with the intention of people running their own businesses, having some support on how to work with the stars in a very simple way, because I check these three things: the moon cycles, the Mercury phases, and the void course of the moon. So I talk about all of those in this planner. They are only $30 Canadian right now per sign. I will link both my readings and those planners in the description below. Thank you so much for being here, liking, subscribing, chatting with me in the comments. It really means so much, and I will see you next time.